It is always sad to see creators' pieces of work be taken and meanings be twisted around, and that's exactly what happened a few weeks ago with Seven Seas, and I turned my childhood friend into a girl's manga. But after all of the backlash they faced with turning the main character transgender, they have decided to backtrack and revisit the very inaccurate English translation. I have a bunch of different things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month, or support the channel via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So this is a Sankaku Complex article, and I am going to be referencing their tweet, but it says Seven Seas revisiting script of manga that inaccurately turned the male transgender. It says Seven Seas Entertainment has announced it will be revisiting the script for one of its manga after learning the localization differed from the intent of the author, as it forcibly made a male character wearing female clothes transgender. Now, I did talk about this when it happened a few weeks ago, but of course there were a lot of people who were furious over this change because it had been established that this character was not transgender. They were simply a male character wearing female clothes. Now, of course, it says about a month ago, an article comparing the Japanese version of the manga with its English localization discovered that the English version was not very accurate, as it often incorrectly referred to a male character as female when he merely dressed like a female. Now, this is another Sankaku Complex article that came out when the situation initially happened, but it said localizers have once again decided to rewrite original works they had no hand in creating, as the feminine male of I Turned My Childhood Friend into a Girl was rewritten to be a trans character in the English translation, despite the mangaka clearly stating the character is male. Now, if the mangaka decided that this was the direction they wanted to go in, this is their creation and they can do that, but that's not what they originally wrote, and that wasn't their initial intention, right? Over the past few years, and especially the past few months, I've been talking a lot about localization and changes being made in the process of translation. Unfortunately, there are a lot of localizers out there who are working on video games, manga, anime, who are making the changes they see fit. Okay, they're looking at the content in the entertainment and they're going, you know what, I think that this would better reflect the story, which is absolutely absurd because they are not the original creators, so they should not be changing things around where they see fit. But going back to the original article, it says Seven Seas has finally issued an official statement on the matter, explaining the localization differed from the intent of the mangaka and promised changes will be made, but considering how they mentioned trying to be inclusive, many will likely suspect they'll nearly mess things up again, and this is the problem, okay? They are trying to take existing content and change it around to be inclusive. If you want something that is inclusive, that is fine. Go write it yourself. Go create it yourself. Don't take other people's creations and change them around. But Seven Seas said in response to fan concerns, Seven Seas has thoughtfully and thoroughly reviewed our English language translation of I Think I Turned My Childhood Friend into a Girl Volume 1. The subject matter in this book is delicate, and we took every effort to keep the language respectful and inclusive. However, after discussing the matter with the rights holders, we realized that our edition differs in certain details from the author's intent. I wish that they would come out and they would give a list of things that differed. They would come out and fully admit, hey, we take responsibility for these things being different than the author's original intent, but of course they don't because they want to make it seem like, oh, it was just one or two simple mistakes when clearly it wasn't. With that in mind, we will be revising the English script of this series to address various concerns and to more accurately reflect the original intent of the creator. Now, obviously, them changing their minds and going back to the translation to change it is a good thing, because it means they're listening to people who simply want accurate translations, but it still doesn't mean that we should trust them. I like to give companies multiple chances to change their ways. I talk about it all of the time, and you guys see that with me. But Seven Seas has allowed localizers to change several translations or outright censored creators' work before, and that is the problem. They have a history of doing things like this. It is a pattern with them, and while they're saying they'll fix this situation, even though we haven't seen any evidence of that, it doesn't mean that it won't happen again, and this article even brings that up. They say there was no mention if the localizers will be reprimanded for their poor work. Probably not, because a lot of localizers now unfortunately do things like this and like to take matters into their own hands, and these companies continue to work with them. This isn't the first time Seven Seas has made improper translations or outright censored a manga's original writing, as their translation of the Classroom of the Elite light novels led to reprints, scenes were removed, and the localization of another series inserted words such as mansplaining. But going on over to the tweet, I wanted to read just a few of the responses because, of course, a lot of people are very happy about this, that now we might actually have a chance at getting an accurate translation of this manga. Again, though, I'm still very skeptical. They're saying they're going to go back to the drawing board and potentially change content and make it the way that it should be, but it's all just talk at this point. A lot of people are saying things like respecting the author intent and providing the most accurate translation should always be the top fucking priority before whatever BS agenda some localizer wants. I 100% agree. It should always be the top priority to provide the most accurate translation and respect the author intent. Somebody said credit for fixing this, but it's very difficult to trust that your company won't let something like this happen again. All works going forward should be treated in this manner to ensure accuracy to the original. Although it is clear the fix is due to the Japanese publishers and never should have happened in the first place, this should be a wake-up call that your audience wants releases that are faithful to the author's intent. A lot of people saying very similar things, but things I agree with. Somebody also pointed out this is the problem right here. Priority shouldn't be keeping language respectful and inclusive. It should be faithfully and accurately bringing the content to the English language. And in this release, they did say the subject matter in this book is delicate, and we took every effort to keep the language respectful and inclusive. However, of course, after discussing the matter, we realized that we were wrong. Others are saying, well, it's good this is getting addressed. This has been a reoccurring problem with your company, making it hard to trust statements, especially when you ride behind false narratives. Happy the original publisher is holding you accountable as you refuse to do the same with your staff. Now, at this point, I don't plan to support this simply because I do not want to support Seven Seas, and they do, unfortunately, make changes to their content. Obviously, I hope that this comes out. It is as accurate as possible. And I'm glad that they are being held accountable, but I still don't trust them. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.